Hey everybody, this is Perch. Whose fault is it? Okay, that's the favorite game of the internet. Whose fault is it? So, uh, before I get there, uh, I've been looking at a lot of different kind of moments in comics, moments where kind of a decision was made, moments where things shifted. I've been reminded of a lot lately because I do believe that we're comics go in these cyclical kind of orbits, and I think we're entering into one right now that is we're in transition. We've been in there for a couple of years. I think I said about 2 3 years ago we were due for one. And I think COVID kind of both you know slowed it down a little bit. It froze some aspects of things, and it also kind of destabilized other things. So I think there's some natural transitions that were happening, and COVID and kind of supply chain issues and just all overall I think that period of time screwed up a lot. It also got people to stay at home and lose their minds on social media and other things, and tilt the work ethic is probably the best, most generous way of saying it. And so I think that there was, I mean, it definitely feels like we're in that transition. You see a lot of flailing around right now in terms of different business models, different ways people are engaging with each other, rights that are held, all the rest. The comic industry is going through significant adjustment. No, it is not going through the final moments of his life. It's about to transform into something else. This would be a video that require a lot of research, so I definitely won't do it. But it every time we've had one of these giant sea change moments, there's been a healthy amount of people saying, this is it. This is our final chapter. The world is about to die. It's all over. We're done. It happens every time. And, my theory on that is simply just, change is scary. And, a lot of people want there to be an end. I saw this survey of, of people, and it troubles me in that was it like 30%, like a third of people believe or slash hope. What's they use the word hope, but believe that the world will end in their lifetime. And it explains a little bit why you have people so intense about, it's not just like, let's save the environment, which is a good thing. I mean, who wants trash all over the ground? Who wants, like smog in the air? Nobody in their right mind wants that. But there's people who take it further. Like, if we don't completely act now, the world is coming to an end in 5 years. They set these ridiculous time frames that are guaranteed not to come true, and it's this almost death cult kind of mentality. But it makes sense if people are kind of believing slash hoping that everything ends in their lifetime. And the basis behind everything ending in their lifetime is that they want to be there for the end. They want to see the conclusion to the story being life. And this is, maybe one of the transitions people go through in their life is, they have to come to terms with the fact that, the story will go on without them. Usually or in the past, it was children and grandchildren that did this. You want to see you want to make the world better for others. And so you let that the world's going to go on without you. It's gone on without people for generations and generations, and it will live long beyond all of us, everybody listening to this. But that's a hard thing to swallow because you want to read all the books in the series. You want Game of Thrones to come to a conclusion from old George before he eats himself to death. Like you desperately want to see how this thing's going to work out. But the reality is we're going to be left on a cliffhanger forever because we're going to die before we get there. Anyway. So what's all this have to do with who's to blame? Well, because there's a lot in change and in transition in times of change, you start looking around and seeing, who's screwing it up, who's blocked us from that progress. And the reality is, a lot of people, it's an unsatisfying answer. So put it this way, we see lots of videos about Gabby Rivera on America Chavez. We see videos about Mags on fucking something. We see we see a lot of who screwed what up. Vita messing up, I don't know, New Mutants or whatever. Teeny Howard's on Catwoman. It sucks, like you see a lot of, those and or maybe the best of all, Tom King destroying Batman. Videos, fun videos. Bendis ruining John Kent. And the easy thing to do is to say, who messed up John Kent, who ruined that character? Bendis. It's Bendis. Buck stops with Bendis. But reality, the old it takes a village. It takes a village to ruin a comic. It takes a village to make these decisions. It's not just Bendis. It's Bendis. It's the editor-in-chief, the assistant editor. It's the various kind of collaborators Bendis had when putting things together. It's it's a big group of people because in other than a few very, very small situations, comics don't get made by just one person. It's a group effort. When Bendis came into DC, let's take the interview at its word. He was basically offered Batman or Superman, and everybody at DC kind of expected he'd take Batman because of his love for kind of street level heroes and everything else. Based on his writing of the Avengers and other things he was showing an interest in, I'm absolutely not surprised he went for Superman. But anyway, but Bendis picked Superman, which surprised. So the rest is history. But think about that moment for just a second. You have DC, and you have you basically have on one hand, flagship character Batman going to Tom King and everything that came out of that. You had flagship character Superman going to Bendis and everything that came out of that. Imagine that moment in editorial where you made two major decisions with two major creators. Again, a lot of people have gone after Bendis, have gone after King. And again, they wrote some of these stories, and if the stories were dreadful, yeah, I mean, they definitely share in the blame pie there. But it was a group effort. It was not just one person. And I think, and then I think you get down to like somebody like a Mags. Okay, so Mags comes into comics, hasn't been doing a lot of comics, gets put on books that are far beyond her, and and they're not great. Okay, I mean, shocking, right? Like, look at J.J. Abrams and Son Spider-Man book that Marvel got super excited about. There are parts that were, well, I mean, it wasn't good. Again, and this is my opinion. I'm wandering between here's the way I look at things, and here's my opinion. So my opinion was that comic was terrible. So whose fault is that? Well, I mean, you definitely can say, Abrams and Son. You could also say the editor who greenlit the story. You can also say, whoever at Marvel didn't surround this person with some help. What did you think was going to happen when you put those two on the book? And this goes on and on and on in comics. Right now, there's this belief in comics, and it's definitely a video of its own. But you have you have this desperate desire, like, we've got to bring people from outside. We've got to get these novelists and YA authors. We got to get them into comics. They're going to sell lots of comics because they've sold YA novels. So sure, and that's how you get like the Rainbow Rowell and Rico Tamaki and kind of others. But in almost every case, that's failed miserably. I mean, Rainbow Rowell has been at Marvel for a long time, is a nice person, but none of the comics have done great. I mean, it's not like the sales are through the roof, and this person who was recruited and poached lit the comic book world on fire with all of their sales and talent. That didn't happen. But why did anyone think it was going to happen? Nobody said like, hey, I know you've written novels before, but let's talk about a monthly comic with sequential storytelling. It's going to be different. Like, here's how we make sure it lands. Do those people exist? A couple of people know this, like Simon Bisley. Yeah, the guy who drew those super hardcore Dirty Lobo comics. Bisley is quite a good mentor. He's helped out and been a good source of advice for a lot of different people. A lot of people have claimed that of how good he's been for giving advice. but that's rare. So if somebody comes on a comic who's relatively new and blows it, whose fault is it? Well, certainly, certainly the person who blew it. But, also all the other people that in theory were supposed to be around this person helping them be successful. They share that blame. They share that that wreck. For what it's worth, I think you can get way too obsessed with the who do I blame kind of plan. Sins past. Spider-Man sins past. Who's to blame for that? Quite a few people, as it turns out. It's easier, certainly, and nicer when you can, just have one person. When you can point to something and go, yeah, that person's the one who sucks. It's cathartic in its simplicity. But the reality is, it's always a group effort, and sometimes those things are more obvious than others. Anyway, just thought I'd throw that out there. I'm not you. You want to go out there and hate on Tom King? Be my guest. I mean, look, I'm with you. I'm with you a lot of those times. As I said, the stories often feel extremely formulaic and manipulative in how they're written, and just it's like I desperately would like a new bit. Can he write a new bit? Don't know. Haven't seen it. But that is that's where it's at. Anyway, lots of people to blame, which should make the internet happy, right? You don't have one target, you have 50. All right. Well, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and thanks for listening.